G'day guys, welcome to today's video review of Blumhouse's Fantasy Island. I emphasise Blumhouse's as if you're a fan of the Fantasy Island TV show from the late 70s and early 80s, then this has absolutely nothing to do with that other than the name and Mr. Rourke in a white suit. Oh, and a seaplane. This is a reimagining of Fantasy Island that has no need to be called Fantasy Island other than it might fool a few boomers into paying $25 to go to the cinema to see this absolute garbage. If you're not a boomer, then you've never heard of Fantasy Island, so why would the name be a draw for you? It wouldn't. So the fact that they bought the movie rights, so they must have paid about $50 for it on an eBay auction, and then did nothing to do with the premise of the rights that you just bought is baffling. I guess it's like paying $4 billion for the rights to a franchise and then killing all the lead characters that made that franchise popular and worth $4 billion. Oh yeah, wait, Disney already did that, didn't they? The original TV show, if I remember correctly, was a romance fantasy akin to The Love Boat, which played around the same time. People would go to Fantasy Island and be greeted by Tattoo, who was a little person, and Mr. Rourke, played by Ricardo Montalban, who was Khan from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Both in white suits. People would come to the tropical island and live out their fantasies. But this is Blumhouse, and is supposed to be a horror. The official synopsis is, the enigmatic Mr. Rourke makes the secret dreams of his lucky guests come true at a luxurious but remote tropical resort. But when the fantasies turn into nightmares, the guests have to solve the island's mystery in order to escape with their lives. Yep, that's it. Michael Pena is Mr. Rourke, and he's good. It's Michael Pena. But he must have got a free tropical vacation to be in this, because as I was watching I thought, this looks like a group of kids hired out a resort in Fiji and ran around and shot a movie on their iPhones over the weekend. And then when the movie was over, I looked it up on IMDb and found out that was pretty much what happened. Michael Rooker,
I'm very poppin', y'all,
is in it as some kind of nut running around in the bush for a bit. Maybe he got sick of waiting for his drink at the resort and lost it, because if you've been to Fiji in real life, they operate on Fiji time, so his drink could still be coming. Anyway, you'll know when the jump scares are supposed to happen, because the music will screech at you to let you know when someone turns around and sees their own reflection in a mirror. Yep, that actually happens. Apart from what the synopsis tells you it's about, I can't really tell you the best, or actually worst, cheesiest thing in cinematic history in it, and the guy sitting next to me and what he said at the end of the movie, until the spoiler section. But trust me, you don't want to see this in the cinema anyway, and it's really a waste of 2 hours of your life. The only way to describe this is like when you were a kid and your dad came home from Blockbuster Video with a bag full of 10 weeklies for $10, and they were all like no-name KTEL video, straight to VHS, Z-grade movies. And you sorted through them and watched them throughout the course of the week, and occasionally you'd find a cult classic, but most of them, 99% of them, were duds. And that's what you watched and immediately forgot. Well, this is one of those movies. If it was meant to be a horror movie, okay, fine. Then commit to it being horrific. I mean, this was ridiculous, with men running after them with masks on, a burnt guy appearing in the bushes, and a scary dentist, surgeon, chasing them across the island. Anyway, the only redeeming moment of this film, other than the one that I'm going to tell you about in the spoilers, was the fact that it was really hot outside the day I went to see this in the cinema, so me and 3 other people had beautiful climate-controlled air conditioning, which we got to enjoy for 2 hours for $25. So my rating for Blumhouse's Fantasy Island is 3 stars out of 10. Thanks for watching today if you're leaving us here. The next bit is worth watching if you don't plan on seeing this movie in the cinema, which I recommend you don't. So here we go with the spoiler section. So a group of people, or
young adults,
arrive at Fantasy Island on... As discussed, they all have fantasies that go awry, and have to fight for their lives, blah blah blah, which means run around the jungle in Fiji getting chased by a guy dressed as a surgeon and some dudes with guns in masks. There's some bland generic story where the main hot girl, who is there to torture the hot girl from school for teasing her, turns out to be the nasty girl who's roped all the other people into her fantasy, as they're all partially responsible for a guy's death who she dated once. The Dark Crystal is at the centre of the island and... Anyway, the best, worst, cheesiest scene in cinematic history that I want to tell you about. Here we go. So two of the...
Young adults.
A dumb blonde-haired blue-eyed white guy and his gay Asian brother. Why Asian? Why gay? Well, it's 2020.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, of course not.
You get to see him hook up with Alessandro, if that's what you're into. But anyway, the gay Asian guy's name is Brax, but his brother, the budget Patrick Wilson, keeps calling him T. He keeps saying, "Quit it with the nickname. You know I hate that." So anyway, by the end of the movie, the budget Patrick Wilson is dead and everyone is going to leave the island. Mr. Rourke says to Brax, or T, that he technically participated in his brother's fantasy, so he's still yet to have his own one. And he says his fantasy is that his brother is still alive and gets to live out his life. Mr. Rourke says that would mean you'd have to stay here on the island with me. He nods and turns to the plane, where budget Patrick Wilson sticks his head out of the window and smiles and waves. Mr. Rourke and Brax watch the plane leave. Mr. Rourke then turns to Brax and says, "So what's your name anyway?" Brax? That's a strange name. Your brother had a nickname for you though. T, wasn't it? Why is that? Oh, it's 'cause I got the worst ink in the world. What is it? Brax opens up his shirt to reveal the word tattoo tattooed on his chest. Ah, yes. We'll have to call you Tattoo. Oh my God. I went to see this movie on an advanced screening, and it was just me and 3 other people. A couple that I think were just there to enjoy some air conditioning, and a guy sitting there on the same row as me by himself. At the end of the movie, after that line, he proclaimed, "Well, that was a steaming pile of shit," and turned to look at me for acknowledgement. But no one was there, as I'd already bolted for the exit to quickly down some beers to forget the entire experience, which wasn't hard, as it's very forgettable. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Millions of dollars, access to the best equipment and so forth, and this is the sort of thing that Hollywood continues to keep dishing us up. I think 4 people in an advanced screening pretty much says it all, really. If you're still here, thanks for watching this far. My next video is a lot more positive, as I've just come back from seeing a pleasant movie for a change. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on the next one. Have a great day. I'll catch you in the next one. Take it easy.